Welcome to this Symbio webinar showing you the new methods we have in Symbio. So the new Symbio you will receive soon, the version 18.05 will have a new method. So what we mean with that, you will hopefully see in the webinar, which will roundabout take 45 minutes. So I will give the intro in the new method and will then talk about the topic customer journey. So we will set up to some extent a journey map. And then my colleague Rainer Debusmann will talk about the impact of projects you can manage in Symbio from now on. So again, thank you for having joined. It's great to see that huge number. I'm not sharing my desktop at the moment, so don't be confused. I do that in a second. And before I jump into Symbio, I just would like to show you 2 or 3 slides, just to slowly but surely get you to the method we have in Symbio. Okay, now I'm going to share my desktop. Let's just exactly now is the start page of Symbio. I'm just now going to a slide set. So in the past, you might remember, as you have been working with us for many years, we were mainly focused on processes in Symbio. And now as we are all facing complex suppliers, customers, services, products, etc., new technologies are coming in, we made the decision to extend our method so that you can illustrate all components and factors a organization nowadays will have to face. So we talk about the following, for example. What we now have in Symbio is the strategy. So you can set up your strategy and your company goals in Symbio. With the strategy, you have targets you define and you need to reach. Also, we have the customer journey, where you can set up illustrations of your journeys your customers are having. And with your targets, you have KPIs, projects, and your processes. There they are. Moving on, you can then link your projects to processes. That's what you also do in your normal world when talking about customers. And then also your KPIs can lead to process mining, where you can uncover huge potentials your processes have. You have KPIs defined for your processes and for your project. And then last but not least, you can also link your processes to the customer journey via touch points. That's a crucial thing you will see in a few minutes. And then last but not least, you have risks all over the place, more or less. You can also manage and link to your various components you can manage in Symbio. Okay, so those are the extensions of the method in Symbio. Just to summarize again, you can now also set up your products, your services, your projects, customer journeys, and link all of those components also with your processes and other factors. And it goes without saying that you have for all of those components your demands, ideas, your roles, documents, systems, etc. So they will be obviously still be visible in Symbio. Okay, and then last but not least, all of those components, they more or less appear as a artificial neural network. So that's how we see, that's the philosophy we have here within the organization. We see Symbio as a holistic business process management system. All right, so that was the theory and the philosophy. Let's jump into the system itself. And some of you might have taken part in the Innovation Day we had 2 weeks ago. So now I'm sharing Symbio, by the way. So you should now see the start page of Symbio. And I already showed some of the new arrangements in the main menu to some of you 2 weeks ago. So let's just recap that. You now see what I just talked about on the slides, the products, the strategy, the projects, etc. They are now part of the Symbio main menu, as you can see. For example, in the top left, you see you have a customer facet where you can manage your customers' journeys. The processes are now here on the fourth position from the left. And on the second, you see the strategy. And when you dive into the strategy, you see you can set up your goals in a architecture. You already know how to manage that from the processes. And then in the strategy, you see you have your key performance indicators, for example. In the project view, so Rainer will dive into that later on, you see you have your milestones, for example, and in the products view, you have your inputs and outputs. So now you probably might wonder, where's the repository gone? You're right, the repository as such, meaning as a own facet in the main menu, is gone, as you can see. It used to be on the top right corner, but now you probably already have seen we have put the repository objects like roles, input, outputs, KPIs, trainings, etc. They were just moved to a other place in the main menu. For example, the milestones are now with the projects, and the inputs and outputs, as you can see, are now with the products. So it's just, to be honest, 2 or 3 things which were moved. As you can see, the systems, your documents, your risks, the requirements, and the learnings, they have own facets in Symbio. Good, so that was the method in a quick summary and the new position of the main menu in Symbio. So let's dive into one new topic we have in Symbio, and that's the customer journey. So in Symbio, you can now manage your customer experience management in the way that you set up journey maps. So we have now some customers, new customers with Symbio, who would now even set up their landscape or the way, the philosophy in the website, in the Symbio, with just customer journey maps and not with a process architecture. Okay, so let's just dive into the customer's view and show you how a final map could look like. So you see here, you have a architecture and a hierarchy, the way you know from your processes, and then which could look the following way. So this map is called acquiring and loyalizing new customers. And you see, having this graphical view here in the toolbar, let's, for example, switch to a swim lane view and a flow view. So here, as with your process, you would just set up a customer journey for a particular situation your customer is going through. So you see you have steps. In the detail content, you can maintain additional information and link touch points, sales channels, stakeholders, etc. And when you go to the detailed view, for example, you see each step has then also in the graph the linked stakeholders or sales channels or the stages, for example. So that means you can describe also the feelings and the motivation of your customers going through a particular stage in their journey. And the probably best view is the customer matrix view, as you can see. So Symbio automatically generates this journey map for you, this matrix view. So on the top, you see the steps in a horizontal way. Then you can upload a storyboard picture, a description, and then you see here, just jumping to processes for a second. With process steps, you would link your risk, your roles, your input, outputs, etc. As you can see in the customer journey, you link sales channels. So a sales channel could be an online shop or a retail store, for example. Or you can also link touch points to particular steps, or stakeholders, or the personas, so the customers, for example. So that's just a different view compared to processes. Here you describe the feelings of your customers going through a journey. And very important is the following: you can link your processes to a customer journey. So for example, in the detail content, you see also you can link, as you can see, projects here on the bottom right, and also processes. So as you can see, also via those touch points, you can link your customer journey to processes in Symbio. And then you can jump from this customer journey map to a process you might have in Symbio now for many years. So that link is possible. Good, and as you can see, I can now even jump into this process here directly. So the touch point was the online form, and you might have a process where you assist a customer how to manage an online form and how to register for something, for example. So you can jump back and forth between the two views. Now let's have, so we have 10 or 12 more minutes. Let's just set up quickly a new map, just 2 or 3 steps that you can see that it's very straightforward and easygoing. So in the customer's view, you see you have also the architectural view. And as with your processes, you would set up in this customer journey view. As you can see, when I minimize it, you first of all define categories. So we call them in Symbio at the moment customer experience management. And then in a category or in a experience management, you see you can set up maps. So here you have the type map, and I can just now call it a webinar, for example. Just also look at the watch. And now you see a new journey map was set up, and in the detail content, as before, you can maintain information on journey map level. So you can link here already your processes, your projects, or your products. So that's not new for you, the way that we maintain our detailed information in the detail content. Then let's move to the graphical view. So as with the normal modeling, you have kind of the white drawing board in front of you, and now you can set up journey steps, as you can see. And now I would just set up 2-3 steps from the customer journey you've seen a minute ago. So as you can see, via new, you set up a journey step, and then you can name it here in the top right. So it could be new e-bike discovered. Also, you see here in the detail content, you can upload a storyboard picture just to make the whole topic more exciting and tangible for the viewers of the journey maps. So you would just link a picture via upload, and then you can also move it here into this window. You click on OK, and then the picture is uploaded. Also here in the description, you would write 3 or 4 sentences what this journey step means. And then you go to the other facets or palettes in the detail content. So you might have seen also you can maintain the feelings a particular customer has, or the reason of the feeling. So the feeling could be here, for example, just freedom. The freedom that you don't need to rush to the city or enjoy the day. And the thinking could be, I would try to ride a bike, whatever. So I want you to see that it's technically quite simple to set that up. Also, you see here now, we have the sales channels, for example. So this particular customer makes in the awareness process, looks at a online shop, for example, or a social media channel. So you might have seen before here in the sub navigation of the customers, as with the repository in general, let's just jump into that. So you see the architect you might have for the database would, before the authors are working on maps, can set up all sales channels, all touch points in advance, and also release them and version them. That's not new to you. And then as an author, you would use existing objects. And that's what I'm doing now. So you see, for example, for the sales channel, I go here, for example, for the social media channel. And the touch point is that, for example, here the article in a social media was read. And you see, you can also maintain data via this burger here. Then the dialog opens, and in this case, you see the customers involved. So in our database, for example, it's here a family where I can now, for example, choose this guy as the customer. And now you see, as I'm modeling in the vertical swim lane, a swim lane was set up for this guy, Peter here. Okay. So now we have more or less maintained quite a few details for this particular step. So the touch point, the sales channel, the persona, and we uploaded a storyboard picture. And now we can just do the same for a additional step. So now you see here the way you can model a customer journey from left to right. You can set up just additional steps. So those would be the objects also you probably use in 80% of the cases. You can then set up an additional journey map, one hierarchical level below the existing one. You can link a journey map, so make an interface to a other journey map that would be this object. And then you have the three rules, so the or, either or, and the and you can use when modeling or setting up this kind of flow for your journey map. So let's just go for a second step. And this step could be that you search by features. And as you can see, as we model in the swim lane, the customer was already also set up as the persona for the second step. And now we can upload also an additional storyboard picture. And for example, this one here, and upload it. And it goes without saying that we would add now, for example, the touch point that in this case, search for offers on the internet is applicable. And the sales channel in this case could be now an online shop, for example. Okay. Now, and let's go to the customer matrix view. And now you see Symbio automatically creates this matrix view. So you might remember we set up two steps. We named them. We uploaded a storyboard picture. For the first one, I also write just 2 words in the description just to save time. And then you see the detailed information for each step is then outlined below. For example, your touch points and your sales channels and the feelings, etc. And any information you would maintain in the detailed content on the right. Okay. Good. And when I now click on a touch point, for example, I just set up, for example, the one I used before. What is important now is again the link to processes. So for example, I just get rid of this one and choose a other touch point. Go back to the matrix view. Now you see here, you might remember what I showed you 10 minutes ago. This touch point is also linked to a process you have in your database. And it is crucial to set up a linkage between processes and your customer journey maps, and you can do that with the touch points, as you can see. So when I click on this touch point here, contact form on the website, you see the detailed content updated, and on the right here you see now the informations regarding the touch point, and you see it's used by also in the process assist customers with online form. And now you can jump from the customer journey view to the process. You see here open chat window is a normal process step, and you see here on the right the touch points, which is linked in both the journey map and in the process. And that's how you can link the two worlds with each other. Okay, so I hope that was useful for you, and you got now a better picture of the customer journey map. So again, you can now, as you can see, set up the customer journeys for your customers, regardless of services they use or products, etc. It's applicable for all kind of scenarios. And the end product, let's just show you that again, the end product of a customer journey could then look like the following way, that you have this matrix view, including all the linked information.